Okay, so first of all, are you aware, for example, that every 4 years, many federal lawmakers don't return to the chambers? About 70% of them, they don't return.
You don't return
They don't return
every 4 years.
every 4 years, and it's happened consistently since 2003.
But wait, though, I feel like since I was a child, I've been hearing some names in that house. Since I was a child,
There are nowhere
don't
near
know.
as many as you think they are.
Hmm.
No,
I feel like they've been there since forever.
no, they haven't. Do you know that? Do you know that of the? I think there are about 17 state governors who are rounding up their terms in 2023. Of those 17, about 10 are contesting for Senate elections. Right now, there are about 14 or 15 former governors in the Senate. If all the 10 governors that are contesting now, if they win, that number will go up to 25. So you could have up to 25 former governors in the Senate.
Interesting. So what you are saying is this platform gives me like a platform to actually see all these things.
Yes.
Hey guys, welcome to the Techpoint Africa Podcast. My name is Emmanuel, and today we're talking about a very, very important issue which concerns you, concerns me, concerns everybody, even your mother in the village, your grandmother, everybody. But more importantly, I think if you're a young person, you should pay attention to the topic of this discussion: Nigeria's election. How can we make things better? How can we use technology? How can we use data to really, really get to the bottom of things and make sure we have a free, fair, and credible elections in Nigeria? Then, so far so good. I've realized that some of us have had voter apathy, and we are not really, really interested in the process because we feel like, oh, they're going to do whatever they like. But interestingly, there are ways you can actually track and monitor what's going on in these elections, and that's what we're going to be talking about today. With, of course, it's Techpoint, so we're going to be talking about the power and awesomeness of technology. And today with me, I'm having Joachim. He's a senior analyst at Stears, one of Nigeria's foremost data and research firms. Those guys have been doing really, really awesome work. Joachim, thank you very much for having me.
Thanks for having me, Emmanuel.
I'm saying having instead of you to be saying the
Yeah.
having. So thanks for joining us on the podcast today. And there are so many things I think we should talk about. So I've tried to streamline a lot of things together. So, but let's go right into this. Technology and elections. It seems to me like we are way behind. Of course, we're way behind on a lot of things in Nigeria. But in terms of elections, how far are we behind in terms of how we can use technology to improve what we're doing?
Yeah, so we were far behind. I think.
Where?
Yes, we were.
Okay.
And that's because a lot has happened this year that is going to ensure that the 2023 elections could end up being one of the cleanest elections in Nigeria.
Mm-hmm.
So I want everybody listening to understand this very carefully, very closely. So if you have worried before that your vote is not going to count, I think that this is the one election where your vote is likely to count more than any other election. And let me just quickly explain why very quickly. The Electoral Act that was signed by the President in February has many provisions in it that are going to strengthen the conduct of Nigeria's elections. One of the main ones, or let me just begin from the top. So there is this new thing they call BVAS. They call it the Bimodal Voter Accreditation System. So what does that do? The BVAS is a machine that records everybody that comes to vote. So it snaps your face, takes your fingerprint, and also scans your voter's card to ensure that you are of the polling unit that you said. That you've come out for, and then once you are accredited, you are then allowed to vote. Basically immediately. Now, what does that do? Because of the fact that the records are electronic, those electronic records are sent to INEC directly from the polling unit and are then used to ensure that For example, if you have 233 people who are accredited at a polling unit, if there is some magomago or some rigging taking place, and let me say 236 votes were counted and recorded, then INEC is within its power now to cancel the results of that election, because of the fact that the number of people who come out to be accredited should tally with the number of votes cast. So that is one thing. The second thing I want to talk about is what they call electronic transmission of results. So after the BVAS has done its work and you've been accredited and you've been voted and you cast your vote and everything, when the vote tally is taken and the INEC official announces the results at that particular polling unit, the results from that polling unit are scanned and sent direct again to INEC headquarters. What used to be the practice before is that they used to write it on manual result sheets, and then those result sheets make their way to the World Collation Center. Now it is between, I don't know if you remember, in 2019 and 2015 they were saying, snap a picture of the result sheet, and it was supposed to forestall rigging and so on and so forth. No, INEC has now ensured that that process is institutionalized, and there are now going to be records of voting at every polling unit, and those records are going to be sent direct to INEC. So what then happens is the results are recorded, they are snapped, and they are sent to INEC, bypassing that particular word collation process that leads to so much manipulation. So anybody can write a result sheet and ensure that people sign off on it and so on. But if you waited behind, for example, to ensure that the what is recorded is what is sent to INEC, I think that is a big plus for ensuring that not only do your votes count, but your votes are counted.
So I think I remember in 2019 election, I was one of the ad hoc staff for the elections. There was this card, is it the card reader or something?
Card reader, yes.
We used to upload the results when we were done with the elections. But one issue we faced was network in some areas. I was posted to a remote village in Ogun State, and when we were done with everything and we've said, okay, we want to transmit the results, of course we had to keep physical record. There was a manual sheet that we did that, but then I said, what is in my manual sheet must tally with what I have in my the card reader or the device. And what happened was a lot of people, first of all, during the election process, there were a lot of issues with the device. Thumbprints, they not read, face. So many issues with the technology, and it's making me think, is Nigeria ready to embrace this to the fullest? Because there's some places like where I went to, I'm not sure there's electricity. I'm trying to remember, I can't remember the name of the village, but I'm not sure there was electricity. I'm not sure. Okay, I think network worked there because I could make calls, but electricity was not there and a lot of things, and device was giving me issues. So I couldn't upload in that polling unit. I had to carry it out, go to one of the rack centers and upload it. So I think I'm asking this to actually point out that is Nigeria ready to even embrace that kind of technology for the elections?
It's a good question. I think that first of all, there has been a lot of expansion in the coverage area for the telcos. They've expanded to many more areas since then, so that is a big help. And then on top of that as well, I don't think it's the same machine you're going to be using that you used in 2019 that I'm going to use this time. I don't know if you've seen the BVAS machine before. It's a green border, like a tablet, and then it can snap your face, and it can do the fingerprint and all of that. And I think that so between the change of those machines to make them more efficient, and then again the expansion of network coverage to many more places in Nigeria, I think that there will be less of that now. And in places where there's still no coverage, then I think that the INEC is prepared to make the necessary adjustments to ensure that the results sent are not tampered with in any way.
Okay, so talking about 2019 too, Stears launched an election monitoring platform. I'd like to, can you tell me more about it? What inspired the idea and what impact it had at that time?
Yeah, so Stears in 2019, they did Nigeria's first real-time election monitoring database. So it was like a first for the country. And that effort brought two things together. First, Stears is a company that has deep expertise in data, the gathering of data, the analysis and processing, and the visualization of data as well. And then married that just with basically just the civic responsibility angle of it, of trying to help Nigerians make more informed choices at the ballot box. And I think that those two tendencies together came together to produce what we saw in 2019, what we were able to give Nigerians.
Okay, so following the launch of the platform, but before we talk about the impact, what could the average Nigerian actually do with it at that time?
So in 2019, what happened was people were able to see results as they came in, as they were announced by NEC. Again, like I said, when they just read out the results, you cannot really see where they are on the map. You cannot really visualize where precisely and which result has come in and which hasn't come in. And just the real time view of it is the novelty that we had there. Yeah.
Okay. So is the 2019 platform still live?
Yes, it is.
It's still live.
Yes, it is.
Oh, guys, is it too late to add it?
It's still live, and then we'll make sure that that is also accessible to people that want to see what it was then. The other thing I just want to point out is that 2019 was also more of desktop based. I had a more desktop feel to it. It was made more for desktop, but this time around, it's mobile first. It's mobile first.
Okay.
And this time, you can also follow specific races. What state are you from?
Edo State.
Edo State.
Yes.
So, and what a local government?
Esan Northeast.
So that sounds to me, isn't that Edo Central?
Is it?
I think that.
Is it a constituency? Is it the constituency you're
that
talking
sounds
about?
like Edo Central Senatorial District.
So senatorial district. Okay.
I think so.
I don't follow it.
So yeah. Okay. So for example, you are from Edo State, and you want to follow the governorship race. You want to follow perhaps the senatorial and House of Reps races in your state. You can follow all those races specifically in the version that we are going to launch on Monday. It is at stears.co/elections. Stears, stears.co/elections.
Oh, cool.
And the other thing that I want to also, I need to also stress is that for the first time, we have put together basically a map of all the constituencies.
So House of Reps.
All of them, House of Reps and State House of Assembly constituencies will also be shown on the map. This is the first time it's been done. So, for example, Edo Central District, what does it look like? What are the local governments under it, for example? Edo North, Borno South, and so on. So if you want to follow all those races, you can see them, and you can actually see them play out on the map. And it's taking a lot of effort to ensure that that is done properly. And like I was telling you before we started recording, this is something that we haven't seen anywhere, hasn't been done before, and so this is just basically us creating multiple data sets to ensure that we give people the tools they need to follow.
Interesting. So You said steers at CO.
Stears.co/elections.
Steers.co/elections. So if I go to the platform, I can enter my state and
Yes. You don't even need to enter it. You can even just select the state and then you can follow and then you can follow basically any race you want. So one of the things that we do is we are going to also ensure that you get insights specific to the race that you want to follow. We will also analyze there will be data visualizations there again specific to the state that you want to follow. If you want to follow the presidential election, if you want to follow specific candidates, Tinubu or Atiku or Peter Obi or Kwankwaso or whoever, you can do all of those things there. We are also going to have bios of the various candidates all the way down to the State House of Assembly candidates as well. So again, the idea is if you have an interest in any particular race anywhere in the country, you are going to have more information than ever to guide your choice at the ballot box. That is what the aim of Stears coverage this cycle will be. You will not be able to get this level of granularity anywhere else.
So what can I actually get on the website before the elections?
So before the elections, like I said, all the races, you have all the candidates that are going to be running.
Yeah, the bio and all of that. Yeah.
Their bios. Then there will be that. Then on the other hand, we'll be putting out a lot of analysis about the issues to follow in the election, the trends to follow in the election, and why these trends should matter to you. And then on top of that, we will also be putting out various visualizations, again, just to enhance the knowledge base of voters before they cast their ballots on February 25 and March 11.
Okay. So when you mention visualizations to enhance the knowledge of voters, are there any specific visualizations we can expect to see? So what are those trends, for instance, you want to see if you go on the platform? Like, what are those kind of trends that might be interesting to someone like me?
Okay, so first of all, are you aware, for example, that every 4 years, many federal lawmakers don't return to the chambers? About 70% of them they don't return.
You don't return?
They don't return.
Every 4 years?
Every 4 years. And it's happened consistently since 2003.
But wait though, I feel like since I was a child, I've been hearing some names in that house. Since I was a child.
There are nowhere near as many as you think they are. No.
I feel like they've been there since forever.
No, they haven't.
So some stuff like that.
Stuff like that, yes.
So those kind of trends, okay. But what's the name of that deputy House of Senate governor?
Which one?
Yeah, A.K. Ekwere Madu. I feel like I've been hearing that name since I don't know.
So Ekwere Madu, I believe this is his fourth term only.
This is his fourth. How many terms have we had?
So we've had six. This 2023 will be the seventh cycle. So if you see 1999, 2003, 2007, 2011, 2015, 2019. So we've had six. 2023 will be the seventh cycle.
Interesting.
So even he has not been there from 1999. He started from 2007 or so.
Cool. So usually in elections we're usually just concerned about presidency.
Yes, precisely.
So I don't know. Are there other things? Because I feel like presidency, we put so much weight on the presidency.
There are many other things, and I think that, so while we're on the topic, it's important for me to say here that the governors and who the governors are very, very important.
All the states governors?
Yes, all of them. Do you know why? You know that many of them end up going to Senate to retire, right? Do you know that of the, I think there are about 17 state governors who are rounding up their terms in 2023. Of those 17, about 10 are contesting for Senate elections. Right now, there are about 14 or 15 former governors in the Senate. If all the 10 governors that are contesting now, if they win, that number will go up to 25. So you could have up to 25 former governors in the Senate.
Interesting. So what you are saying is this platform gives me like a platform to actually see all these things
Yes.
in one place.
And then you as an individual voter now gets to decide whether you want a Senate full of former governors.
Yeah.
Or for example, if you live in a state where you are voting and the governor wants to go to the Senate, you can then ask yourself,
has this governor done
has this governor performed? If the governor has not performed in the state, said governor is unlikely to perform as a senator. And so you, as the voter, have that choice to make.
Politicians can be funny sometimes. I mean, one of them said, if a child fails, you give the child
yes,
chance
the famous justification for
I don't want to mention his name.
yes, that's very famous. It's one of the most famous political statements ever, actually. Well, I think that the people of Edo State, people of Edo State have very strong views on that particular governor.
Yeah, that's a very, very interesting one. So using technology now, we can now start seeing all these trends that we have probably missed.
Yes, precisely.
Get to understand them better when we now see everything, because sometimes you can just be seeing information scattered in different places.
Yes, precisely. So the mission of Stears elections is to organize all of Nigeria's election data. That's the mission of Stears elections. It's a big mission, but it's a mission that we think is going to enrich Nigeria's civic space to a very, very large degree.
Okay, so that's a very, very big mission, because
yes, it is
leading me to a very, very important topic I want to talk about, which is the issues with gathering data and finding data in Nigeria. So you say you want to organize all of Nigeria's election data, meaning both historical data and present data.
Yes.
And Stears, you wrote an article in 2018 or thereabouts about why we don't know how many we are in Nigeria. If we keep claiming 200 million people, we keep hearing population figures and all of that. So, and I'm guessing if you want to harmonize this election data, population figures have to play a very, very important role. And if finding this data is hard, and when you even find them, some of the things you see do not add up. So how do you intend to tackle this?
Yes, it's a big mission, and I think that, like you said, we haven't had a census in Nigeria since 2006. What we've had since then, we just had various bodies, various groups, maybe World Bank, MBS, all of these people, basically doing certain types of surveys that give an indication about how many Nigerians there are or there could be. But that's not a census, because a census, you are basically going house to house and you're counting people. So it's not the same as a census. And because of that, now you have all of those issues where you're guessing about how many men about how many men there are, how many women there are, how many children, how many of them have certain things in their homes, the tribe, the ethnicity, all of those things. And because those things are going to help the governments to plan. And this is a perennial challenge that has always been happening. Like we spoke before we started recording, we don't quite know how much petrol Nigerians consume in a day. We don't quite know how much crude oil Nigeria produces precisely in a day. And so all of these things are basically a reflection of how our society struggles with gathering, organizing, and processing data, and even just the will to even collect it and say, okay, we want to do a census. We not had a census since 2006, and so we're going to do a census to know how many we are, and so on and so forth. With regard to the actual election data itself, I think that we can use the INEC registration process as a reasonable proxy. So I know you likely caught the news. 93.5 million people already start to vote now. And I think that INEC data is sufficient for this particular purpose. But more broadly, you can see the various issues that Nigeria has with data going back several decades. In fact, the earlier census exercises as an independent country in 1962, 1963, they were all fraught with one controversy or the other. Accusations of people inflating figures and so on. And so we need to really get past these issues in order for us to move forward, because if you don't have that data, you can't plan, you don't know what's going on, and you don't know when your society is beginning to change in a particular direction. And if you don't know that, then you can't solve the problems that come from that.
Okay, so gathering and processing election data from the INEC registration process. So we saw from the INEC process that there were a lot of invalid registrations and all of that. So the process itself is actually fraught with a lot of bottlenecks. Is there a way the private sector can come in to actually help with this whole registration process, or should it just be just INEC alone and we take whatever they give us?
So there have been calls prior to now for there to be an independent review of the voter registration file. So that's the big file with everybody on it. There have been such calls. However, I think it's possible at times to be too what's the word now? To be a bit too suspicious of the electoral body. They have tried very hard to be above board. You spoke about the council decisions just now, and one of the issues that they had flagged prior is that people who have existing PVCs and maybe haven't collected them from one reason or the other, now went and registered again. So perhaps that is part of the problem there. And although unfortunately it didn't break down how many of those were double registrations and so on, so we won't really know. But that was something that was flagged very early on by INEC, and they had said, if you've registered before, then you should indicate that so that they can cancel that one and then do you a fresh registration, and you can pick up that one, and then you can use that one to also vote and so on. So I think that while those calls have been there, for an independent review, I think that it's also possible for us to be able to point a little bit too much. What I think the main problem right now, if you ask me, is for the people who already have PVCs to ensure they collect those PVCs, and for the PVCs to reach the people who have already registered. That is the real problem right now. In 2019, there were about 11 million uncollected PVCs out of 84 million registered voters. That's a lot, right? And unfortunately, if we don't have a good system around ensuring that people who have already registered get those PVCs, we are going to have the same problem again. Can you imagine having a scenario where, so let's say of the 12 million people that are newly registered, only about 9 million people collect their PVCs, or 8 million or something, or like a low number like that. You then have up to 15 million uncollected PVCs. It's not something that is that we should allow to happen. The system that INEC needs to put in place should ensure that those PVCs get to the people who are duly registered. I think that should be our focus right now.
Okay, so talking about PVCs and uncollected PVCs, pardon me to try address this issue a little bit, but don't you think it's a little bit convoluted and stressful for ask people to register for PVCs, and in the way it is structured, it's very, very difficult for people to actually collect it. This is why I'm saying this. One of my colleagues here at Techpoint registered for a PVC in Ondo State, and she has moved to Lagos. She can't collect it because she has to go to Ondo State to collect it. She even has to go to Ondo State to vote because she can't really vote. So we are all talking about using technology to streamline the election process, but it feels like the whole process is just... I was talking to a bike man the other day in my estate. He's saying he has to go to Kano. Kano costs 17,000 naira right now to get to Kano, and he has to go to Kano to vote, because that is where his PVC was registered. Then, for people who did not even vote, who did not even register for PVC in the first place, you've already asked them to queue for BVN. You've already asked them to queue for NIN. Why do we need separate data? So I guess this is two questions I'm asking right now, right? So there's the fact that the whole PVC process seems like if anything changes in your life from the period you registered for PVC to the period you want to vote, you're basically missing out. My parents might soon leave Lagos, and they registered in Lagos. So if they leave Lagos, they have to come back. And I know a few of all these instances where the whole PVC process is just weird. Then number two, PVC, NIN, BVN, maybe probably something else in the future.
Yes, it's a good question, and I think that going forward, the next step for INEC really should be to untether people from this PVC shackle, right? Like you rightly said, a lot of people move for various reasons. It can be for work, for marriage, for family, or whatever. Many people are not going to be able to go through the process of going to register again or going to do transfer of registration and so on. I did mine. I had moved from where I was before, and now where I am now, I've had to move my registration. But I think that the process can be much simpler. I think that actually the process should be as easy as perhaps sending a text message to a particular short code, providing some authentication, and then having that registration moved, really with a minimum of force. I think that should be the next step for INEC with regard to the voting process itself. Or, like you've already said, since people have BVNs already, they have their NIN. By marrying the two databases, just ensuring that people can vote from anywhere they want to vote from, and then just ensuring that once they vote that day, they are not then able to vote anywhere else.
Yeah, it's just one central
so that I think that should be the next step for INEC. The technology that we have now in the world is really is advanced enough by now, that we don't need to worry about people always going to sit down every time, during the CVR process to transfer registration and all of those things. People have busy lives. They shouldn't be too involved in the nitty-gritty of these things. The CVR really should be for first-time voters. For people who have voted before or who are in the system already, changing their location of their polling unit really should be a fairly easy process.
Okay, so I think this is why I even mentioned that should private companies be more involved?
Yes, I think that where private companies can be more involved is in ensuring that people get their PVCs. So by now, the Nigerian logistics space is something that has come on a little bit. We have people who are very experienced in those things, and I think that by now, the people who have been able to do these things for so long should have the expertise in place to ensure that those who have registered can get their PVCs, either by mailing it to them or by ensuring that if they live in the same state as the PVCs, then the PVCs get to them individually. I mean, people do deliveries a lot now, deliveries, e-commerce, and so on. I think that is where the private sector could come in, could definitely be in the area of getting people their PVCs in their hand and reducing the number of uncollected PVCs.
Reducing the number of uncollected PVCs. So I'm guessing this part of the data you also be gathering for the election platform to let us know that, okay, you know what, 11 million people have still not collected their PVC.
At least, yes.
So if you haven't collected yours, go and collect it,
Yes.
and all of that. So, but I think we've already talked about data problem as a societal problem, and you're reminding me of some conversations I had a few weeks ago, and it's looking like something that's unique to us as Africans. Our tendency not to document things. We really which is why I'm always happy to see writers. I'm always happy to see data analysts, people that are actually documenting history as it goes. But it seems generally we don't even like to keep things on record, and if it is on record, we don't like to make it accessible. So there was a Freedom of Information Act that the Nigerian government signed in 2012 or 2013. I'm not sure of the exact year, and it's supposed to be able to help citizens access really, really important information, really important data about their communities, about their society. And I'm sure in building this platform, you must have experienced a lot of challenges so far. So how are you going about navigating this whole challenge that's very, very endemic to Nigeria, or probably even Africa, as regards gathering data and gathering information to now produce it into something digestible for a wide audience?
So so there are various ways you can go about it. There are, again, the web luckily is the kind of place now where you have things that are out there, though a bit scattered, and but again, for other physical, for other physical copies, for physical information as in books or something like that, we are increasingly building out our ability to reach these various agencies in order to get the necessary data from them. So it's just a combination of approaches, really. Like you said, it's something that it's a challenge, and it's not really going to change anytime soon. But because of the fact that we have done this for some time now, and we are constantly adding the capacity to do more, we are always able to try to get this data as much as we can. So for example, even the shape files for the various constituencies that we spoke about a few minutes ago, those were not what's the word? And those were not available.
Yeah,
we had to create that essentially. So you follow CNN election coverage now, don't you?
Yeah.
So when you go to that, their magic wall, and they tap it and they press it and they zoom in and zoom out and so on. So all of those things with time will now be possible very soon because of the work that we've already done in that area. But it's always a challenge. But that's why challenges exist. They just exist for you to surmount them.
Yeah. So I'm actually curious. How did you get the geospatial data for these senatorial districts? Even getting for states alone in Nigeria, I did like this before I found the.
Yeah, our data team and our data and our tech team are a very experienced, very resourceful bunch. I can't even talk you through the specific steps because they had to rely on various various techniques, some of which are well known, some of which are less well known. But eventually they got it done. And I think that in the end, that is really what matters.
Yeah. So you didn't have to go to those places to
No.
to measure, because I know there was a project in Morocco where they actually went there to try and map Morocco.
No. Nobody has the time or resources for that.
Cool. You guys should come and give me some anointing.
Well, it takes a bit more than anointing, to be honest.
Yeah, I get it. I'm just pulling your legs. Okay, that's quite interesting. So, where do you see this going? You talked about the whole CNN election coverage and how they just everything is just so. Where do you see us going in the future, especially as regards number one, data in elections, and number two, data in general? Because I feel like a lot of other external factors actually affects our electoral process. So what other things do you see for the future regarding elections and regarding data in Africa?
Going forward, the drive is always to give people more context about what is going on around them, more context about the races, more context about the candidates, basically just more context about the various things that are likely to influence their choice one way or the other, right? And I think that in the end, so while Nigerian newspapers are good at certain things, so they're good at basically reporting things blow by blow. So like a blow by blow accounts, person A went here, person B went there, things like that. So all that is good, and they are good at that. But a lot of what we lack is just that context, and weaving that context just into the broader fabric of the choice and the choices that are before Nigeria. So just for one example, the Kebbi Central senatorial race is going to be between two of the contestants, the current governor Atiku Bagudu and Adamu Aliero. So Bagudu is APC and Adamu Aliero is PDP. Actually, he decamped to PDP when Bagudu said he wanted to get the ticket for Kebbi Central. It's difficult to compete with the governor as per resources. Interestingly, they had both met each other in the same senatorial race in 2011. In that race, Bagudu beat Aliero, and then he was senator for that district from 2011 to 2015 before becoming Kebbi governor himself. But before that, it was Bagudu who took over Aliero's seat when they made Aliero FCT minister. Bagudu won the by-election for that race. So both men have been coming, and Aliero is himself a former governor of Kebbi State. So all of those various connections are the context that we lack, but they are out there, but they are not integrated into a platform that is going to help people to say, oh, that's how come, and that's why there's the history between these two men and so on. So you hear things, you see things, and they will not make any sense to you. Look, I could present you 5 different bits of information and ask you how they are related. But if you don't have any context about the various bits of information, you're not going to be able to connect those dots together. And what Stears does is that we are going to help you connect the dots as much as possible.
Okay. So you just talked about my next question, helping people connect the dots. So I guess that's why the average person should care about data and elections. So you are helping us see what we will otherwise not see if we're just following the election
regular coverage.
So
the regular coverage is, it's just about that very day, that very thing that's happening, that very moment. But to make an informed choice at the ballot box, you need a lot more than that. You need to understand where the various candidates stand on various issues. You need to understand what is influencing their position on various issues. And until you understand that, and until you understand what is likely to be best for you, right, for your own life. So, for example, if you don't like the way things are going now, for example, and a candidate is saying that he wants to continue the legacy of so-and-so person, you say, well, I don't like the way things are going now, and so to hear you say you're going to continue someone's legacy, maybe that doesn't work for me. But if you like the way things are going now, and the candidate says, oh, I'm going to continue say, oh, okay, no problem, I don't mind, I can sign up for that. So all of those things are very important. If you are satisfied with the direction, or if you're not satisfied with the direction of things, then you need to have this context in order to understand which candidate is going to satisfy that particular condition. So if a candidate is telling you that everything is going to get better, or is going to continue from where the other person left off, you then have to understand. Then you don't have to ask yourself if you've fared well over the last 4 years. If you have or haven't, then that is going to influence your choice, and you need to understand. You need to have that information in order to do that.
Oh, so when we're talking about the future, I was even thinking you're going to say we'll come to a stage or scenario where we can start monitoring all the elections in real time, even before the INEC officials have been uploaded.
Yes. So I think that all that's that kind of scenario in a place like in a place like the US, they use exit polls a lot. So exit polls, basically, when you come out of the booth, they ask you, who did you vote for, that kind of thing. And they have various bellwether districts, various bellwether parts of a state or parts of a country. So once somebody is winning a place, they'll say this person is likely to win this particular state because he's winning by so and so and so margin here. And how are they able to come to that? Because they have a lot of data. And as they amass that data, they're able to see the various trends, and they know that if this person, so for example, if in a particular place, the Republicans who won a particular place by, let me say, 15 points in the previous election, right? And that day of the next election, you find that they are actually leading by only 5 points. It probably means that area is under threat from Democratic Party. You get what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. But they only do that, or they can only do that because they have that particular database and they have all of those trends. And they use those trends, they put those trends into algorithms that show them that, okay, if they maintain this lead here, if they maintain this lead there, they're likely to also continue. However, if the things begin to change, they'll say, oh, this could be a potential problem for party A or party B. And I think that eventually that is where we aim to get to. We aim to get to a place whereby we are not only able to give you context about the various candidates, we are also likely to be predictive in nature about the direction of a particular election. Yes.
All right. Thank you very much, Joachim. I think this has been really, really insightful. And I guess a key takeaway is we keep saying data is the new oil. So I'm guessing whatever data we're gathering now should be used to lubricate Nigeria's election. So
I guess.
Yeah. So
make it more accessible, make it more accessible, more seamless, make it understood by more people, and basically just increase engagement in the entire process. I think that there is a lot of some of the apathy could be just about the fact that people don't really know what's going on. They hear a lot of things, they say a lot of things, but they don't know what's going on. So I think that hopefully the more knowledge that we're able to push out, we're able to help reduce the apathy that we have seen so far.
All right. Thank you very much for having us here. Why do I keep saying having? Good. We are the one having you. Yeah. So thank you for coming to the Techpoint Africa Podcast. Yeah. So, guys, this has been really, really insightful, and of course, we're going to be dropping the link to the Stears platform,
stears.co/elections. So stears.co/elections.
Good. So just check it out. He has already given me expo. I'm going to go and check about what's going on. Yes, please follow your senators and House of Representatives. Very, very important. Don't just blame everything on the presidents. Find out what's going on in the House of Reps. Find out what's going on with the House of Senate, State House of Assembly, and even down to your local. Wait, is there local government?
So no, there are no local government elections. What happens is that every state has its own local government elections, and eventually we are also going to track those to ensure that people are also aware of when they are happening, and just let people get involved. Again, just to reiterate, local governments have their own separate duties, some of which have to do with the roads closest to your house. So, for example, the road that is the last 500 or 1 kilometer to your house is likely to be a local government road. And if that road is not fixed, that's likely to be an issue for a local government chairman to come and fix.
Not the president.
Not the president. So getting involved in all of those various issues, is something that we all need to do.
Oh, yeah. So on that note, I'm going to leave you with the link to the description on Stears. Go and check out that platform. I'm saying it. Any issue? Oh, yes. Thank you, Gracious. Yeah, there are really awesome people behind the camera here, Gracious and Onome. So, yes, and I'll be doing you a very, very great injustice if I don't remind you about the FinTech Summit 2022. We're going to be talking a little bit about the policies that are going to be affecting the FinTech space in the coming years. So, if you have a financial technology business, if you like the financial technology, or if you are really, really curious about the space, or you even just want to start a career or you want to build wealth with fintech companies, these are the platforms you should be attending. You should be attending the Techpoint Fintech Summit, which will be holding at 4 Points by Sheraton on November 26, 2022. Trust me, you don't want to miss it. Head over to fintech.techpoint.africa. And I guess I didn't bring in Abisola, but yeah, Bisola, please forgive me, but we need to round up at this point. But please let me know what you think about everything we've discussed today, or the issues with the elections. If you have any questions, I'll do well to answer them. If I can't answer them, I will refer them to Joachim, and he will have to come and help us answer them. And questions about the Stears data platform, the election monitoring platform, I'm sure Joachim will be willing to answer some of these things and how it can help you track and make better decisions for your election. Data is the new oil, and this is a very, very important lubricant for the elections. If you're watching us on Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, yes, I love you guys. Please share, like, subscribe, and make sure you watch this video to the I should have said that at the beginning, but yeah, share this video to all your friends and well-wishers and tell them to watch it to the end. Yes, and of course, if you are listening to us on any of our audio platforms, we're still very, very much with you, and we sincerely apologize for some of the languages we've been using that's kind of, it's not inclusive of the audio guys. But yeah, we still love you. We still appreciate you being with us. Spotify, Stitcher, Google Podcast, Apple Podcast, iHeartRadio, Podcast Addict, anywhere else you get your podcast, and just stay safe. Thank you, Joachim, for having. What's going on today? Yeah. Thank you for being on the podcast today, and
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, I'm sure we can do this again after, maybe closer to the elections or during the elections. Sure. Maybe not just you, maybe with one or two other persons, politicians and whatever. Just explore.
Perhaps we'll see.
All right, guys. See you later and have a lovely day. Bye bye.